Hey guys, how's it going? Hopefully y'all can hear me. We are live. Anytime I switch back and forth between YouTube and Twitch, it's interesting because the settings sometimes get updated, and it makes for an interesting day. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started here pretty quick, and then allows people to kind of catch up. And what we're going to be going through today is the new RX590. This is from PowerColor. Hopefully you guys can all hear me and there's no echoes or anything. That is this guy right here. No, it doesn't have the other box in there, so it's going to be a little shaky here. We're going to see that column. I've been doing some testing over the last day, and I've been able to get some pretty interesting numbers out of it. When you look at from a perspective of current profitability, not so much. I would agree with you. Across the board, and even some of these surprising settings you guys are going to see. I'm showing two mics are on. Don't see two mics. Let's see here. I'm showing no two mics, guys. You guys are getting an echo? Don't show an echo, boys. It's with YouTube every time. Hang on.
Let's make sure this is on. How about now? Should be good. I show no other inputs coming in, so. Yes, echo. YouTube every time, man. Still an echo. Let's look here. There's only one camera on here. Yeah, there's no other audio. There's no other audio. It's just there's a single input here. You guys are saying it's good now? Awesome. I mean, sometimes this mic is like, it's a high density mic, so it's like a condenser mic, so sometimes it'll sound large and in charge. All right. Well, we'll go with it, bros. Well, thanks for you folks jumping in. So I did a quick review of it today, or yesterday on and that might be just YouTube actually processing it. Who knows? It might have a delay. But what we did yesterday on Twitch was essentially ETC and ETH, and we saw that this thing did about 31.7, and we were able to tweak the power down quite a bit. And I got the power meter on today. This is the same box as last night for anybody that was able to catch up with that video that could see what we actually got out of it. We got it down to 113 watts and 31.7 mega hash. And when we get into X16R and some of the other ones, I was able to get a few algorithms set up. I got Vertcoin, I got X16R, a handful of other algorithms kind of set, but I didn't have a lot of time from doing editing last night to now. But we'll go through what we can and see what we can tweak out of this on a few of the algorithms. And then what we'll do is we'll take a longer approach on Twitch after this stream to where we'll go through some crazy iteration. It might go a couple hours. So we'll do a strong hour here on YouTube today and get you guys some exposure to this card. So let's switch over, and you're getting to see essentially. I was seeing if there's any other people doing some mining with Monero on there, but you got to see a little bit of the Monero pre-config at a little over 900 It should be around 1200. That's what I should expect out of it, but we'll see. So what we're going to be working with today is Wild Rigs multi 0.13.4. And then we'll do Vertcoins, layer miner, and then we'll try some of the BBT multi-miner on a few of the other stuff. So hopefully, let's see if, make sure, let's get this back some. I don't think we need this camera. I'm going to pull this camera down. We're not going to use any of this one right now. I'm going to pull that one out of the loop. So I'm going to drop that down. Take that one out of the loop, and then we're going to move this one back so you guys can actually see more clearly the wattage. So this system sits there when it's not mining, and it idles about 54 watts. This is an i5. This is like just a gaming desktop that I'm using right now, and we can bring up some details of that so you guys can see. So here's the baseline system. We got a i5 6600K. This is, again, a gaming PC that I had set up a while back. 16 gigs of RAM, and it's got the RX590 in there. You can see that there. So what we're going to do right away is I'll give you guys kind of a understanding where we're at on, and we'll go through and do some tweaks on power and all that stuff. But right now I have it set to 1605 and 2250 on the actual memory, and I'm letting it do auto on the fan right now, and we're not messing with the power yet. So for the folks that wanted to see, and let's open up GPU-Z to have that up. And then we're going to plug into the sensors. You can see here, for the folks that weren't on for last night, you can see 8 gigs of memory. It is Micron memory. And then the base default clock is 1576, and then 1605 is what I got it set to right now, because we're going to be doing some algorithms that do like the core. So again, this is not a video to see the most optimal. We will try to do some stuff with power, but right now it's just what does it do out of the box. Again, this has no BIOS mod on it at all. This is stock BIOS that comes with it. We have not started messing around with the BIOS at all yet, and we're just seeing what it does out of the box. So give some folks a real quick history lesson on, let's do some ETC real quick, and then we'll get into trying Ravencoin and some of the other setup. Now this is going to pull some juice because we have not, we actually overclocked the core, which it doesn't need to be overclocked for ETC. And we can see the power kind of start to cycle back up. Oh, and yeah, I needed to bring the, there it is on ETC. Yeah, it does not like the core clock way up on ETC, so we just threw that back out. You need to have the core clock down if you're going to undervolt it. There's an undervolting setup that we have in this right now. We look under here. We'll probably have to do a quick reboot now. But the undervolt that I have set on it right now under ETC is, I believe, 1000 milliamps or millivolts, which anything underneath that was crashing last night. So let's scroll all the way up here. So ETC number 3 here, and right there the cvddc, we have it set to 1000 on that. So we were undervolting it, and I was running a mod there. Let's give it a quick reboot. We'll let some other folks get back in there. And then we'll get into, I'm going to reset it back up. We'll actually come back to ETH. You guys watched the video. You guys have seen ETH and ETC. We're going to get right into X16R, X21R, some Hex, and some of the other currencies right now to show what it does. But this is really to give you guys a baseline of what this card can do. And I'm going to make a soft speculation that AMD has done something with this BIOS in some capacity, because of the performance that I was getting out of it with some of the initial testing on X16R and some of the other algorithms is not the marginal increase that I would expect. Like, you know, I was thinking, oh, okay, it's going to be 5 to 8% faster in this, and in some regards it's significantly faster from some of that initial testing. So if one of the first things we're going to do real quick, we're going to go back into MSI Afterburner, And we're going to go reset this back up. We're going to max the memory out. I'm going to bang that all the way over. I'm going to put this back at 1605 because I want some core in this. And we're going to give it a little bump there. And then we are going to go and open up GPZ real quick because I want to see some of the power numbers from there. And we're going to go into NC sensors, and we want to have this screen up. So we're going to have this screen kind of up and over to the side so we can see really the power draw, the GPU power draw is really what I'm looking for here. So let's come back into downloads, and let's go ahead and come right into Wild Rig here. Oop, oh, that's XMR. There we go. Now I set up a few of these. I wanted to set up all of them, but just it was a time thing. And what we'll do is we'll set up the other algorithms on. And what I mean by that, let me bring this up for you can kind of get a baseline of what the base settings are on. If I do Bitcoin talk and this Wild Rig multi, which will bring you to this. And what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down to this list here because this is going to give us a baseline of just expectations from other 580s and that. So here is the algorithm over here on the left. So you got Bitcore, C11, you got X16R, and then what we expect out of like that. So X16R, we'd expect about 10.8 and a minimum set. And what we're going to do is start doing some, we'll leave that over here. And then let's just out of the box start running this. And what we'll do is we'll do some subtle tweaks. Right now it's set to intensity of 21. It's set to 2 threads. And let's take a look. So it's at 7 right now in that setting. And what we're going to do is we're going to start tweaking it. So out of the box, we can make sure that it's running the... Now that's what you would normally expect out of something like that. So, but let's play around with this a little bit. So that's out of the box kind of base settings that come out of Wild Rig. And that's a little low for what we're talking there. So let's go in and edit this. Let's change this up a bit. Let's come in and say, where's my mouse? My mouse is sliding over to the side here. Let's come in here and say, I want to keep that at 2 for right now. And let's just try a subtle change here to bring it down. And show you kind of intensity. So I have CLO open affinity of 4. I have strategy of 0. There's some pre-coded stuff in here that you can change around and mess around with as you do things iteratively. Let's try to run that. We're just bumping the intensity one tick down just to see how it behaves. Now we can see the power shot up to 232. Now when this thing's actually running, the when it's not idle and the CPU's having to be used a little bit, it actually peaks up to about almost 100 megahertz or 100 watts. And we'll see that with the GPU power usage right now. GPU power usage about 160. Look at that, 212. It's kind of bouncing around a little bit. X16R offers a little interesting power usage situation sometimes. We're still at 7 here. Let's make sure. Oh, you know what? I'm wondering if when we blew that before that driver, it looks like we're not in compute mode. Let's take a look here. If you're not in compute, it significantly affects it. Let's check under gaming. Check under global settings. It says compute, but what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, and we've seen this last night. If I had blown the driver in any capacity, I had to toggle this on the latest AMD driver. Because I actually had to go in there, I had to turn it off, I had to turn that back on the compute mode. It says that it's in compute, but when I switch that around, it acts completely different. go in here. Let's go back into compute mode. Now it's in compute. And let's close this out. Now let's see if there's a difference there. And there you go. So compute mode was off. So now we're at 12 mega hash, 12.8 mega hash, 13 mega hash. So compute mode was about 7, and there you go. Look at that, the top 13.2, guys. Now you tell me if you don't think AMD's done something with those BIOSes somewhere on the timings. We're at 12.7 in compute mode on the RX590. We're using 260 right now. We're using quite a bit of electricity. We haven't tried to do any kind of leaning out on the power side, but now we are at 12.047. It had a 1366. Power's way up right now, but we can lean that out. We're just giving it the beans right now. We haven't done any kind of tweaks. Compared to a 480, a 470, that's a lot higher. And especially if we can really lean this out on power. And we can see here, so we're at 170, it's bouncing around. Let's see what the floating average is on power. Right now it's 180. And what we're going to do now is, we're going to start to play around with the power and see if we can lean that down some. So again, we're at 13 mega hash. Let's bring up Afterburner here. And again, that actually reset it back down, and we weren't even running any overclocks. That was bone stock. There's no clocks being used there. And even if I went to my 1605, which would be using actually more power, it didn't really change it that much. And Raven really doesn't need memory. You can actually come way down on that. Actually, let's do this. Let's leave that 1605. Try to lean that down. Let's bring that -20. Let's unlink that. Don't need that. Actually, we'll just do this. Unlink. We'll take this down. And just see what we got power-wise. A 20% drop there. We've dropped off almost 50 watts of power. Let's bring up GPU-Z. Now we're at GPU draw about 160, 140. Still pretty high. Meter's out of focus. Part of the problem with using a cheaper camera there. I should hook up the other camera there. And there we're at 14 mega hash right now. .4 mega hash. Let's see if we can do some on the fly adjustments here. Pull us all the way down to 1750. Let's try to pull some more power out of it. Dropped it to 187. Let's see what this does with our... So we're down to 187 full system. Looks like we're at about 10 mega hash now, 10.6. We had a max of 14. We dropped the GPU down to bounce between 90 and 113, 120. Kind of all over the place on the GPU power usage right now. 91, 93, 97. Let's see if it stabilizes some. Yeah, we dropped it down to 7 mega hash. We could try 3 threads at that too. I'm gonna think that 2 threads are probably we're gonna really able to push to it, but some of this iterative testing was the live stream is to see what we can get out of it with it. Afterburner. I need to get this on a mouse pad. It's kind of jumping all over the place here on me. And let's bring this up. I'm trying to bring the video feed up for you guys. So we're still low on that. We're gonna bring I dropped it to 300, 750. So that kills the oh, it's because the temps. Four, 5, it's working its way back up. Let's give it a little more memory. Seems to kind of really down throttle it a little too much. We take the memory all the way down. Yeah, this has 16 gigs RAM. This machine does have 16. Yep. Yeah, that really brought it down a little too much. Go with the 10. Let's bring this down to 1900. Just type it in there. We're going to try a couple different algorithms, guys. I mean, this wasn't just to see how fast we could get, how optimal we could get this. So just showing you. One of the next steps I have, and I'm waiting for BBT Todd to get here, is we're going to pull the BIOS off this and see what we can find. 1605. And see if we can actually get any kind of inkling of what they've done. Because without any straps, I mean, like whatever straps are set up for this memory on this Micron memory, it has to be optimized, because we're getting what we would normally expect we would get from a optimized strapped, memory set when it comes to like, the 31.7 mega hash, 32 mega hash that you can get out of, Ethereum Classic, and us not even messing with the straps. So it looks like there's been some process of, AMD working with. Here, I'm gonna give this a quick reboot. It's still not getting. With me adjusting things on the fly like that, it might have thrown it off. And I may have to, I've seen it also bump off of this latest version. We downloaded the 1129 driver set, which is the 18.2.1, I believe, AMD driver. And it seems that it keeps throwing itself off of the compute mode. Like if it goes black, the screen goes black for a second and comes back. It seems to dump itself out of the compute mode, and I don't know if it's just that particular driver set or not. I'm still trying to figure that part of it out. Trying to catch up with you guys here. When are you guys going to test the Acorn CLE mining thing? We are looking at it. It's not going to be today, but it will be this week. And if you guys follow us on Twitter, you guys will see when it's physically here in this studio. It came to the farm directly, so it's up there with. Yeah, remove that. It's up there with BBT Todd. He's bringing it down, and we're going to test it down here in the studio. So let's verify again. I had to do this like 3 times last night in the hour-and-a-half stream that we had. I had to turn the compute mode on and off, and it made an actual difference. I don't know why it keeps bumping it out. Maybe that's something to do with that 1129 driver. Anybody else that has had that experience can maybe comment too if you've updated your Windows-based drivers to that latest version, if you've had the same kind of issue where it dumps it out of compute mode. You can make some comments. My next phase of testing with this also is taking this to Linux and trying it with Hive OS and trying it with Simple Mining to see if we have a difference in those two environments or not. So once that goes away, we're back in compute, or we know that we're at least back in compute here. Let's close this. I'm going to go back into my known good state that I was doing some earlier testing in, and then we'll play around with power. We'll play around with the power stuff on the Twitch stream, because Twitch stream is a little more longer and forgiving, and that way the YouTube community can just get to what the numbers are. You guys out there on YouTube are a little more just give me the numbers, and you don't really care too much about the iterative process of it. At least that's my observation. And some of you guys cross both. Some of you guys come over to Twitch with us when we do Twitch, and that's cool. But let's get in here and just re-verify that we're good on X16R. And then it doesn't work. 590 doesn't work with Hive. Yeah. So there's some manual stuff you can do to make it work. You gotta be able to push the driver over to it, and then you can get it to work. Windows is garbage for mining. Windows is garbage for scale of mining. Like if you're going to do a lot of scale, and it's a pain to manage and control, but the Windows gives you the most flexibility from trying out new things before Linux binary is updated or the kernel supported. It's a good testbed OS. So that's the main capacity. So let's go in here and did I check? And let's see here. Edit. Yeah, this thing was stuck on 3. That's why I was getting some weird numbers. This thing really likes 2 threads. And then we're gonna move on. We're gonna check X21, and then we'll check Hex, and then we'll check Vertcoin, and then we'll go and check XMR. Now XMR is definitely one I'm gonna have to do some tweaking with. Yeah, so there we go. So if you have this card and you're mining and you're using at least the wild rig thing here, having that intensity set to 20, there you go. I mean, you're anywhere from 11. I've seen this as high as, it really depends on what part of the algorithm it's on, but I've seen it as high as 16 megahash. And this will eventually, I let this run for a couple hours, and it eventually settled around 13.5 to 14 megahash with a peak of 16 megahash. That's what it ends up settling to. You'll have some parts of the algorithm that'll throw it down into the 9s, and then it'll come right back up into the 11 and 12s. Some of the other iterative testing, if you download the wild rig settings here, and obviously you guys can pause the video to see, but I have the settings in here so you can always come back. So what I'm using here is, you define your algorithm. You don't need to have the API port unless you're wanting to try to get it to feed its status. You can do the open platform if you have multiple cards, or you have a built-in like Intel GPU. You can define the platform. The threads, launching the OpenCL launch. So this is your intensity level, and then your kind of work group of, you could take this to like 256 and like 22. Let's see here. This mouse is a little jumpy. It's a gaming mouse, so it's super sensitive. Let's do like 22, 256, which will just change your kind of work package. And it really comes down to just like iterative testing, like check and see if you get different results or better results. And you'll get, so look at that. So it's building that package, so you can see it's at 5, 6, 7, 8 as it starts to build that package group. Looks like it topped out at 10 there. So that was a bigger package for it. I've been running 0 with it. I could actually go in just to edit with this particular one so you can have a better see it better. And anywhere from 20 to 21 is what I've been using with a 0 on here. And you guys can try strategy 1. I think through 1 through 4, your affinity levels you can play around with and adjust. It's really coming down to like you build yourself a little Excel sheet and kind of see what works best for your particular rig. But I'm just giving you what I'm doing. Only for 250 watts. Well, yeah, I mean, we haven't optimized the power. I think there's some definitely power advantages you can hear. And this is a full rig. I mean, this is a full machine, right? So it's it's not 250 watts. It's actually about 180 watts right now. And this, we should be able to get this down to about 115 watt usage like we did last night. But that took, pushing a certain amount of voltage to it. Once you undervolt it and you find what's stable, and each card's a little different, you create a You got to play around with it. This is why the iterative piece of it is. It's just not plug and play. That's what's mining. Like people get in and are like, send me messages like, hey man, I just like what's the one click solution? It's like nice hash, and they're gonna take almost 10%. And yeah. Yeah, it should be. There's 2 threads in there right now. Yeah, we're showing that's 21. I think we were doing the 2 threads. Yeah, open threads 2. But 20 seems to be the best I've found so far, at least with this. Yeah, and there's a few other solutions. I don't know what Better Hash is, but it's like, I mean, I've seen people, talk about Honey Miner and some of the other ones. I mean, I'm just not really, I like trying and testing out some different ones myself, but I'm saying Afterburner. Let's make sure this is running what we expect here. All right. We have one crappy 570. Yeah, there's always that one card that's kind of a pain. All right, let's check out so some of these other algorithms. If you've seen this Wild Rig has on that post, it supports a lot of different algorithms. And what I've been doing is obviously we're doing this testing here, but I'm going to try to go ahead and put all of these into the multi-miner so you guys can do your testing. And it'll already have like a pre-set up. Right now I'm using other people's wallets. I'm not even using my own wallets on this. I'm just quickly set up some testing, but you can see the output here, and it really kind of gives you a measurement here of what to expect. Now I have, for X16R, the average output's 10.8. We can optimize this that you've seen earlier, and we got 13, 14 mega hash. So I mean, about a 20% improvement compared to the current 580s that are out there in just raw hash power. But let's look at X21. What would be our normal expectation out of X21? They don't even have an X21 in here. That's funny. He didn't put an expectation. Well, we're gonna give it one. And it looks like about 8.02, so 8 mega hash on X21 at 260. And then on Hex, yeah, and the cooling on this is significantly better. Like this card doesn't get much over 58 Celsius. And there's Hex 10, 11. So 10 to 11 mega hash on Hex. And, for people that don't really mess around with Hex, that's actually pretty high. It's about a full mega hash more. I think I've seen this as high as 12.6. So right now it says 11.04, but I was playing with some settings here, and in the Twitch live stream we can play around with it, but we got close to 12 mega hash out of this card with Hex. Yeah, we can take a look at the setup here. No, don't change that. Let's look at the setup here. So that's running 2 threads. We could run 3 try to run 3 threads with it. Oh, that's X16R. Get out of this. No. Here's the hex. So it's running 3 threads. We could try 2 threads with it. And we could try 20 and 0. And we get a failed job there. It was working on work that had a post a solved block. So now we're running 2 threads, or no, 3 threads. Looks like we're overtaxing the card. It's 174%. It's actually under. So it did not like that. Did not like 2 threads. Yeah, and right now, I mean, like some people will ask, like, "Hey, is this worth it compared to the 470s, 480s out there?" And I would say more than likely not, unless you were in one where you were a person that did not want to use used equipment, which I would say you're probably shorting yourself a lot of capex if you're going in and buying brand new hardware. The 470s, the gap between a 470 and a 590 is both an output of total hash, customizability with regards to just getting the right straps on it and then getting the right under voltage on it. Your 470 is still one of the best bangs for the buck if you can get them for. I mean, I was seeing 470s as cheap as $89. Right now, you can still find some in the aftermarket space for about 109 to 129. And that is like ridiculous. Like for what they have an output, you're at 80% of what this 590 is doing for traditionally less power. And I would never discourage anybody from not going with used hardware. It is not like buying somebody else's bag. It is a piece of equipment. We're going to try, we're going to switch over to Monero here for a second. Yeah, 11 mega hash there. So yeah, I'm interested to see some more playing around with it and let people see what people can get out of it. But the most we've seen so far is 16 mega hash out of it. We're using a ton of power. That's the one caveat I want to put. So if I really juice it up, get close to 1700 on the core, and I feed it power, I give it like plus 10% power, we can get it up to 16 mega hash on X16R, but we're using a metric crap ton of power. So it's more of like, hey, how fast can I go in this car? But you really are not going to use that kind of power to do it. It's just because it goes fast doesn't mean you're always going to do that. But the fact that it can go to that makes me really wonder. It takes me to the next level of like, do we need to really peel this BIOS off and figure out what's going on under the hood? Because if you can get 16 mega hash out of an RX590, why can I not get that out of or get close to it, or even 10% of it on a 480 or a 580? So here is, yeah, we can try some Ubik too. I need to download Ubik. That's the one that I didn't download. I was playing with Ubik last night on my Titan V with the Phoenix miner and got it up to 75 mega hash at 130 watts. Or sorry, yeah, 75 mega. I posted the link to it. It was 75 mega hash, one card on Ubik's new set up at 135 or 135 watts. The Titan V still reigns king. It's just only a ton of money. So I've seen here. So this is actually taxing the built-in GPU too. This is Vertcoin. Let's see what else it starts posting once it starts getting set up here. So we're 1,000 mega hash. It's kind of, it jumps around a little bit, but this thing will stabilize anywhere from 400 to 500 mega hash. And I don't mind Vertcoin, but and then you can see the 40 is pretty consistent with the GPU on the computer itself. Is there an official? Yes, there is an official Discord server. We have, I believe, close to like 3,000 members on it. It's or probably actually over that now. It's, if you go out to BitsBeTrippin.io, there is a link to it. Yeah, so you'll see this kind of jump all over the place, but eventually it settles down at around 500 mega hash. And the Vertcoin community, I don't know if there's anybody in here to let me know, but it seems like it's pretty good. Once it starts holding around 400 mega hash, it seemed pretty excessive. Like crazy. From last time I was doing Vertcoin. What's the best solution for a RX580 gigabyte fan that is spinning intermittently? If you can get a fan replacement for it, that's probably more optimal. There's not really, once the bearings are out on it, it's just kind of a math problem to when it's going to go out. And I've had, like on our farm, we have just on cards, we'll consolidate them to an area if we have fans that are out, to where we'll pull in like box fans and we'll put it around the, near the card and just push air over the card without the fan. And we push it at a volume that it doesn't need the external fan, and it stays around 75 Celsius. Typically, we like to keep them around 50 to 60 Celsius, but on RX470s, it's kind of hard to do unless you're really pushing a lot of air. But, sometimes they'll hit about 80, but they have no fans. Like, we'll strip the fans off and we just use a box fan because a single box fan will handle a whole rig. If you had a whole rig of cards out, and we just make sure that we just pull the fans off of it. So you take a little dip on power, about 5 watts, 10 watts if you're not running a fan at 100% on a card, and you pull that restriction of airflow of the fan if it's not moving out of it. Pull the plastic case off it, leave just the heatsink exposed, and then we push external power on it, or external fan on it with a box fan. So then it doesn't have that plastic case around it. It's just hitting the fans, and it's kind of a lean way. We were looking at doing a video for you guys for that, to let you guys see kind of that process. Like if you have a larger farm and you can do that, you can strip all that plastic away and just box fan's pretty cheap, $15. You could go through the regreasing activity if you want to too, if you want to try to keep the card that way, but you heard the squirrel miner. So I'm reading one of the comments, guys. So somebody said the squirrel miner will be able to change the memory timings on the NVIDIA cards when it comes out. So yeah, the way that works is the same way that they do the ETH pill. So the ETH enlargement pill essentially does a kind of a man in the middle, I don't want to say an attack, but it essentially changes those timings in memory and then restages that to where you have more optimal set of timings that then it's essentially doing the same thing that you would do with the BIOS on an AMD card. You're just being able to catch it on the fly in active memory as the algorithm's pushing through the proof of work. So the squirrel miner, I'm going to take a basic assumption if it's using the same kind of methodology that the ETH enlargement pool is doing, then it's just doing essentially a man in the middle to repost up some more, some better optimal memory timings for the workload. Let's see here. So that was Vertcoin. And let's do XMR. Now, XMR out of the box, we have not done any configs really at all. I essentially just got the JSON here set up to, I'm even doing the donation pool. I mean, it's just set up. It's running intensity 912, workloads 8. Nothing really too sophisticated on that. It's running essentially 2 threads. And let's come back to this and run the start on this. So not a lot of optimization here. So this isn't going to be like mind-blowingly fast right now, but some initial things I've seen online. I've seen people get about 1,200 out of these, 1,150, somewhere around there, pretty consistently. My goal would be trying to get about 1,300 out of this and then optimizing the actual output. Well, right now I think we're at like 916. Can probably get a little faster on that just doing some basic tweaks. So 900 hash, still using a ton of power. We should be able to have that power right now. But out of the box, just not playing with anything, you're at 900. And we've done no kind of power tables or anything with this. Let's try 852. Cannot find any benchmarks. Have you found any worth anything? Have you been able to benchmark? No, we haven't tested any of them yet. BBT.'s bringing them down. They haven't released the software yet. So supposedly they're still doing some optimizations. So we're going to physically have them here as early as tonight, provided BBT Todd makes his way down here from Wisconsin. We were firing the farm back up, and that takes a little bit of time. We were doing some optimization and cleaning. So until after he's done getting all that back up, then he's going to be down here this week. So, yeah, we didn't really change much there with the intensity. We did drop the power some. So, actually, no, the power's the same. So, yeah, I'll be doing a live stream to do some optimizations there. I just want to give you guys a baseline of what this card's doing. The real surprise out of all of it compared to from last night to now has a lot to do with the speed of X16R. It seemed very, very fast, comparable to like the RX590s. So it really makes me wonder what the BIOS on this is and what kind of optimized timings AMD's done to this. These OEM manufacturers did. So yeah, we're running that. Here, let's go Ubik. We can go down here and do I think they which one do they have here? They have the latest version. Phoenix is for tools this last week. Let's do Phoenix here. Where's the downloads? This screen that I'm looking at is a lot larger, so it's all over the place here. Let's do a These are just the threads. Where is the actual... Oh, it's because I'm not on the... No, I am on the first page. Phoenix Miner. I need 4B, I think, right? Let me see here. I have not done this yet, guys. I just have not had the time to do it. For this machine, anyways. Here we go. And let's pull this down. There we go. So this is usually the stuff you guys get on Twitch, where I'm going through the basics. YouTube crew used to get this, and then people used to yell at me for doing like hour-long YouTube videos. So that's the basics. Let's get rid of pull 2. We'll leave this lucky person's stuff in there. And we need to do, let's do Ubik. Hodl pool. And this is what we care about. We need to come in here. Paste. And then wallet wise, because that was probably an Ethereum address. Let's do some rando down here at the bottom. Look at this lucky bastard right here. Here, let's just do this. Let me come into this. Hey bro, what have you earned? Doing 4 mega hash. You've been paid 250 Ubik. You have a pending balance of that. You're rocking in at a cool 4 mega hash, 14 mega hash, somewhere around there. Let us take your address, copy, and we're going to do you a solid, paste, and we're going to give you BT rocks. And then come back in here. And here we go. Invalid wallet. Oh, I need to probably define that it's Ubik. And Phoenix Miners. Have I messed with Loki? I have not messed with Loki. I have written down Loki and BitTube as other things. I think BitTube's what? Kryptonite Saber, is that right? Let's see here. So for Ubik, coin Ubik is what we're missing. I like doing some of this stuff with you guys. I mean, I do this all the time on the Twitch. If you guys don't follow me on Twitch, you probably should. let's close this out. This is the kind of stuff I do on Twitch now for the longer videos, is we go through this together so you guys have like some kind of baseline on how to do this stuff as I rediscover and do it myself. I mean, this stuff isn't through osmosis. Like I have to do the same kind of basic stuff too. If you're not inventing it, you're learning it, right? So you got to go through that. Now it's building. Now it's doing it. Valid for your wallet. What is starting process? Needs one more thing. New BitTube, it needs 8. I want to get a few RX590s. Good benchmarks, BMPT. Yep. What else are we missing here? Doesn't look like we're missing anything else there. Let me look. Yeah, move worker name. I don't need it there. I think it's different. I don't have pass. I'm missing the password too. You gotta hit the syntax, man. Syntax matters, bros. Otherwise, it just becomes little pains. Oh no. Your wallet. epools.txt. Oh, it's right here. It's reading this because that exists. This actually exists. It's trying to pull the thing here. It's not doing it in line. Do I need to specify that with this? Let me do this. What if I don't want to use epools.txt? Does it require it? I don't use Phoenix Miner, guys, so I'm learning this on the fly. I did not have time to set this up before. Separate configuration file. What the fuck do I need that for? These dudes make this stuff unnecessarily complicated. There we go. Oh, no. Skipped it. Allocating, generating. Paused. Why is it pausing? Okay. We'll just copy it in there twice. I don't know why I needed to find it twice. And we might just take this to Twitch and manually do it again. So this is the kind of stuff I have to integrate into the multi-miner. So I have to like hack the way they're doing this and put it in the multi-miner. Like, I don't want to have to define this twice. Ubik may be pushed off the side here. So Ubik should be actually pulling out the same as Then we're going to get rid of this. Mol dot. We're going to get rid of the second one. Your wallet, worker. What the shit? It's also possible to show pull options for each value. We shouldn't need these because it's not required by the pool. But no, I don't want any of that crap. Let's see if that. Do I have multiple things open right now? My problem. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I had it. Oh, no. Users, it's dumping it right away. I don't know. I need to play around with it, boys. Missing host or wallet and pull one from eText. Yeah, it thinks it's missing something. I need to look at it, guys. We'll do it in on Twitch. I'm missing something very simple on this. Like it's looking for that. I don't want to use dual mining. You need to define it. We're doing that. Yeah. Oh, it's wall. It's wanting the. They had it defined as hard coded as no slash. But they had an example of this the other way. We'll try it in the batch file too, but I want to say right here, see how they have an example, replace your address with /wall option. I don't think it matters, but we'll see. And if it does, then they need to update their their example. And then, yeah, I see it immediately went in there. It doesn't know what that is. So yeah, we'll play with that on Twitch. I'll play around, get it working, and then show you guys how to do it effectively, because the examples they have in there are not working. There should be no reason to do that in the batch and in that text file. It's like either or. Like I shouldn't have to define it twice. Like I'm gonna nuke those. Oh no, you know what? We'll come back to it. Versus me discovering those pieces there, and we'll take it to to Twitch because anyways, I'm gonna integrate that Phoenix miner once I strip away and figure out their syntax setup. I'm gonna put the Phoenix miner in there for the Ubik. I'm gonna pull in Wild Rig 2 also for those other multitude of their different algorithms that they have, and then put some examples in there. I want a really robust Windows testing environment, quote unquote, coming through December, as we're going to be getting what I'm thinking probably more new hardware. I want to do the RTX 2070 testing, the 2060s. We have 2 more RX590s coming down, so we got a Sapphire and we have the a cheaper one. I don't remember. I think it's the. Can't remember which one that actually is. We have the that's the XFX. So we have the Sapphire and the XFX, and then obviously I have the PowerColor one. So we're gonna be doing all 3 of those testing. So I want to have a strong pre-configured BBT multi-miner version 7.1. It almost could be a bump to 8.0 with that many changes, because it's essentially adding in another like 35 plus algorithms and then having that in the multi-miner, and then we're going to have a test area below that are going to be pointed to test nets. So there's been a few pull requests where people have added like prog proof of work testnet. So we're going to have a section in the multi-miner for testnets. So like if you're going to get onto ETH and try on a testnet, you'll be pointed to the testnet. So then if you're mining some coins on there, same thing with Ravencoin, and a few of the other testnets that are very public out there. So that's a pretty major update. I'm trying to work that in this week, and then we'll do a video on that. But we're going to be doing the Acorn video this week. We're going to do no matter what, the Acorns are going to be here, and we're going to do a video on it. If they're functional and the software is released is a whole other questions, but we'll still go through it, plug it in, get it set up into a rig, and we'll take that with you guys through that. And then again, the 590s that we have here, and then I'm going to revisit the RTX 2080 Ti. I'm real nervous of doing a lot of heavy testing with it with people that had, because the only RTX 2080 Ti that I have is the Founders Edition. That's the one that keeps catching fire. So I'm real worried about, like, I mean, while it would be a pretty viral video if I was like actually live testing and the damn thing like blew up in front of us, that would be not ideal, by the way. I'm a little nervous on that. So I want to get like an aftermarket OEM version of it and maybe do some RTX 2080 Ti testing. In addition to the 2070, I believe BBT Todd picked up a 2070. So I'm going to check and see, make sure that he's bringing that 2070 down. And then we'll test that. And again, I have a pair of the 2080s that we got in the NVLink, and we haven't done any testing with the NVLink yet. So I wanted to try to do the NVIDIA NVLink on like Octane Render and a few of the other platforms that are for global compute, such as Golem, to see if it matters or does it. You know, I think there's a lot of good content out there. So they said, flame on, yeah. So. A lot of good content. I mean, like, if you guys are interested in the space, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, hey, is it profitable? Is it what? I mean, my goal here, and what's always been with this channel, is to show you guys what they can do. Take some suggestions, get the feedback from you guys, and go through what a baseline is and what some of the configurations are and what do we find on the forums that are more optimal. And then be able to serve that back, and then you can take those calculations and those settings, and then you can tweak them yourself even further, make comments below, and then measure that against what the market's doing. So if the market does do a heavy resurgent, any price resurgence is going to cause a difficulty resurgence, as difficulty is still sliding back down. And we can take a real quick look and see where difficulty's at in the last few days, because we did have a little peak. It came back, and then let's take a look and see where we're looking at let's do Ethereum Classic difficulty. Ethereum Classic difficulty. And in the last few videos, I've done some deep dives on how to calculate some of this stuff. But I want to see just from a number. Ooh, look at that dive. That thing sucker. So 6% in the last day. So it's starting to tweak back up. Where total difficulty over 90 days has been 36%. So it was toying right there at that 40% drop, but it's had a little bump here. And then we should probably see around the same thing with Ethereum. So we're not a continuous slide. People have paid their power bill for the month, and it looks like Ethereum's down another 3%. It's almost 30%, so it hasn't had as hard of a slide in difficulty. And the Ubik is a weird one. Ubik kind of goes up and down. It can swing like 50% sometimes. It doesn't. If it tweaks back up and gets some interesting results there from its total difficulty. Ravencoin is the same kind of thing. Ravencoin difficulty, and Ravencoin is not really so much well, short of this 590. If you have an interesting power paying situation, if you're getting 16 mega hash out of a 590, you're getting some pretty decent returns there. But there is some difficulty measurements here. Oh, 4.4 terahash. That's a little lower than it's been. But see, we have to go all the way back to, let's do, here, let me hide a couple of these things real quick for you guys can see the full screen here. Let's do a hiding of this and power. So yeah, you're looking at it has definitely came down. That was the peak around let's do 180 days. So you had some interesting nice hash events that were going on here, which was part of the reason why they did a difficulty adjustment fork. And then this is when like nice hash would come in and peak up. And then you have a change, and then you had the auto adjustment here that happened after the post fork, and the spike went to 1,000 satoshis, and now it's rescinded back down. So it's not down still from its peak at what, 72 down to 44. So it's slid down quite a bit even from the last post yet on the first. It's down another 400,000 on the difficulty. So most of the coin ones are starting to go down, but we'll see. This will all return. You can see how quick ramp up happens when a coin gets a lot of value. And what I'm trying to, I guess, effectively communicate to you guys isn't just the curves on some of these coins, is that the hardware is out there and they are configured. People have things configured. So, and they're off. Some people are turning them off because the power situation doesn't go. But if we have a huge resurgence in price, like if there's a day, like in literally 24 hours, you can have a massive increase because a lot of the hardware's out there. So, you know, it didn't take, I mean, this was over a multiple day event. You had, thanks for the subscribe, sir. You have a multiple day event here where 10, 16, 17, 18, let's see here. So, and price went up pretty quick. 23rd, you do have a bow wave here. So to November 3rd. So from the 20, so it took it a month, but I mean, in a couple days here, that was a pretty big jump from the 21st to the 22nd. I mean, it jumped from 4.6 to 5.9. I mean, almost like 30, 35, you know, from there to there, you're talking 35, 40% and jump in difficulty in like 4 or 5 days. So bottom line, you know, it's about being vigilant. If you already have a sunk cost in this stuff, it is watching those difficulties. It's and getting your rigs pivoted to a coin that gives you a little more coin for the time and money. And then when that difficulty swing has that bow wave come in and raise it, then you can pivot to maybe the next thing, and having that strategy there. So it's just kind of you got to pay attention. You got to know your situation. You know, a lot of people just put that negative sentiment out there, and guys, it's no more than just a math problem. It literally is that. Like, when the bulls start coming back in, is your hardware ready or not? And it's good. And people ask, why are you doing like RX590s? Why are you wasting money and time on that? I make that investment because, one, I want to know for myself, what this does as I start to pivot different equipment. I want to know what it can do. And I can read like you guys and other people making an observation, but I'm a person that likes to personally try it myself and see, because if I'm going to do it at scale, I want to be able to know how to do it. So I try to provide that information to you guys. You guys are awesome for following and liking and subscribing, sharing videos, offering comments. There's no bad comments, man. Like if I'm doing something weird or you found a different way, you're making a contribution through feedback. So, go out there, help each other. We're a small niche community when it comes down to it. But, at scale, if you're running a small farm and there's the grassroots ecosystem is healthy. The large, massive, like China farms with tens and hundreds of thousands of GPUs. That stuff's all going to be, they're going to keep that close source. If they have any kind of a tactical advantage, they're not going to be out there communicating with you guys or us. So it's our jobs to kind of help each other to figure out how we can compete in that world. So I miss you on YouTube. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to do at least one YouTube video, a couple a week if I can. I try to upload everything to YouTube that I can. And then what I'm going to do is the last few videos I've put on YouTube, some of them have been about an hour and a half, just because if I felt the content was worthy for anybody that has time that's going somewhere or can listen to it on the car or something. You don't need to necessarily, when I'm doing this kind of stuff and it's whiteboard, you don't need to necessarily see me, but hearing what I'm trying to communicate is what I'm trying to get out. But most of the stuff is going to be like what you saw yesterday on the RX590 video. This one will probably get cut up and I'll probably have a highlight video of it just to like, hey, this setting resulted in this output. But a lot of the Twitch stuff in its full entirety, since Twitch deletes the videos after like 90 days, I've been trying to put those up on BitTube and on D.Tube, which is kind of the Steam integration piece. So then you guys have like the uncut versions of those. If you want to go back through, you're like, oh man, I know I watched a live stream and it was on there, but I don't really know like how that was done. And then you go to look for the content and it's gone because I was doing it on Twitch. So I don't want to put all of those on YouTube. I'm going to try to bring the baseline versions of those there. But yeah, if you guys follow me on Twitch and you see something, or most of those will end up on the decentralized side. So watch your lectures in traffic. Yeah, hey man, whatever gets you through it, bro. I mean, like if you're stuck on it's kind of like a podcast, right? Thanks for the RVN payment. My very first ever crypto paycheck. There you go. Yeah, and then when we do the Twitch stream this week, we're going to be doing a giveaway and stuff, and I'd made some unique RVN assets on there that I'm going to use as a token to give to you guys. So they're fixed. There's like I have 1,000 BitsBeTrippin tokens on RVN's network. So the Ravencoin network, I made a unique set of only 1,000 of those. And I'm just giving those as like token giveaways, like just giving you guys something that there's only a limited amount of, right? So, I mean, it's not worth anything. I mean, unless you guys create some kind of weird party exchange or something and want to exchange tokens. But it was a unique use case for me for RVN. It was easy to create one, and I know I can mathematically limit it, and it's fixed. Because of the way the settings were. So I'm going to be giving some of those out for people that really care. And, showing that use case of it too. So. Nice headshot. Now I do appreciate that, man. Do you guys give donations? This is what pays for this kind of stuff, man. I feed that right back into the feedback loop to you guys to make sure you guys see some of this content and we work together on it. So do appreciate any kind of donos like that. We do that. I don't know if I see super chats. So if you guys have done super chats or anything today on here, because I'm looking at the Twitch stream or I'm using OBS Studio for this, and I don't know if it feeds me the super chat comments and stuff. So if you guys have donated, you guys are sweet and awesome, and thanks. And I'll see if I can get that kind of displayed. But love to be interested on doing an interview on decentralized TV. I'm fine, man. We can always do any kind of interview. I don't mind interacting with anybody else in the space. If you have a small channel, big channel, I think I've seen Decentralized TV before. And yeah, I mean, I happily do, collaborative, I think an interaction with other people in the space helps bridge perspectives and allow where people are, as a content creator, where their perspective's at and things, and what do they see, because everybody has different exposure to different people, and I think it's always healthy. So yeah, if we want to set something up, man, just ping me up. I like doing the few collabs that I've done in the space. I think it's healthy. Do you mine at a loss in order to get a quantity of new coins? It depends, Smiley. I have before. We turned the farm off for about 11 days, 12 days this month. When the price, when ETH went from like 170 down to 120, the farm was turned off. And it's just a math problem of like the amount of, 2,500 GPUs running is about $17,000, $18,000 a month. So that cost is fixed. Like that, regardless of what's going on in the space, we got to pay that. That's like the true fixed, it's a variable cost, but it's pretty fixed based on, the amount of rigs. Like you can pretty much calculate that. So if you're not able to recoup that, you're going to be mining at a loss at scale. So you gotta look at that. And then now that it's kind of difficulties came down, 18, 20%, you start doing the math and you figure out, okay, I can turn it back on and it's still profitable then. But yeah, when it goes way, way out of balance like that, and it was, I mean, when ETH shot, like Honey Badger don't care. Honey Badger don't care if we're all mining, right? If it goes down, the difficulty goes with it because people are going to turn stuff off. So it's not part and parcel. Nobody owes us anything, right? Like we are contributing into a space that rewards us in a token. If a lot of us do it, we get less of a token. And that token happens to be worth money, right? That's the other variable, right? So the natural order happens with the equilibrium. So you can have this up and down kind of, effect that occurs with that kind of, it's a rolling wave of the way that system works. So I just joined, start over. Well, hey, luckily, bro, you can go all the way back to the back of the video and hit start and not watch live on YouTube. Looks like Tasmo was trying to show something. I'll show it. Let's see here. How you guys doing on Vega 64s? Vega 64s will get about 13 to 15 mega hash on Raven. Last time I was checking. I don't use the Vega. We have a handful of Vega 64s. I don't use them for Raven. I use them for XMR. And I was wanting to try them with BitTube. Yeah, down to 2 rigs from 5. And some people, I've seen some strategies where they've actually divested their rigs, and they just, they took currency for them. Like, if you believe in the space and you bought, you spent CapEx to get a mining rig, and you're like, you know what, like I don't want to keep paying for power. I've seen a lot of people start exchanging their rigs for cryptocurrency, right? They'll say, hey, you know what, give me, I have 2 rigs, give me a BTC. That's like $2,000 a piece, and they may have been like $3,500 rigs, right? And you're like, well, I'll take the hedge on somebody that wants to give me a BTC. So they're gonna go out and purchase. Like you can tell them like, hey, I could take $4,000, but I'd rather have the BTC because I don't want to go just spend the $4,000. Like I want to give me 1 BTC for 2 rigs, right? And then if somebody is willing to sell that for 2 rigs for $2,000 a piece, if they're like 6 card rigs or something, you've now gotten a BTC. Well, now it's a math problem. If BTC recovers, 2, 3x, 4x here in the next few months, and now what you would have mined versus what you would have, exchanged in value, you could turn around and sell 0.25%, of that BTC that you just got, and still be sitting on 75% of it, and then be able to buy back your rigs, right? There is a strategy to it for some people, right? So, so you can exchange and get, maybe somebody that wants to get into the space, and you don't care how, what you're just setting up, if they're prepared to pay you money for it, just tell them, hey, go get cryptocurrency and just pay me in cryptocurrency, because then you have that guarantee from that whole third party exchange issue where there's no take back skis, right? They send you the cryptocurrency, you hand them the rig, and at least it's reconciled. There's no stop payments. There's none of this crazy, exchange, right? So that's an opportunity too. A lot of people don't think about that. But, if you're long on the space and you just want to acquire more coins, but again, it's like, it's not financial advice. It's a function. It's a way to do things. If people were buying coins back in January versus rigs, I mean, I've had this discussion with people a few times. People that bought rigs, right? And they were like, in January, it was very high because the pricing, if everybody remembers, the end of December into the beginning of January, I remember being at CES, you couldn't find a graphics card on this planet. It was like not happening. So if you were able to get a graphics card, you probably overpaid for it. The same as like if you were overpaying for coins at the time. But coins went down 90%. Your graphics cards did not go down 90%, even if you bought them for a higher rate, right? So then you do the math there, and you say, oh, well, I bought a graphics card for $400. It should have been $200. And now if I can sell that graphics card for $150, I've taken like a 75% drop, not a 90% drop, right? And then, so if you're sitting in the coin, you're sitting in the coin, and you got to wait for that resurgence of price. Or if you're sitting in the hardware, you're like, well, I can move the hardware to get the coin than what I would have bought if I bought the coin versus the hardware at the time. That's that sunk cost calculation. I mean, there's like a really cool spreadsheet kind of scenario that you could build. Like in one of my last videos, you guys can watch, where we were linking prices from CoinMarketCap to figure out, when's an optimal time to do difficulty. You could figure out, does it make sense for me to move hardware in my space? So it's always been the argument, bros, for GPUs for me. Hodl GPUs, right? Yeah, there is a strategy to do, like right now, like people are like, well, when's a good time to get into mining? Well, obviously when people are starting to FOMO in, when prices are going up, people start buying GPU hardware. Right now, you can find RX 470s, RX 480s, RX 570s for like $109 to $129. Like, that's really cheap. If you have a resurgence in the space, again, it's an if, right? No, this isn't financial advice. It's just telling you the way the math functions. If you're able to buy a GPU that used to be going for $330 for $109, you're also getting to buy in and hedge on a piece of equipment that isn't going to go much down. It's like buying a truck. It's like you could pay $40,000 for a truck when it first comes out, or $50,000 for a truck, or you can buy a truck that's 2 years old, has a few miles on it, and get it for about $25,000, and then it gets down to about $10,000 or $12,000, and it just doesn't stop. Like trucks that are like 8 years old that have like 50,000 miles still sell for like $15,000. Like, I mean, you can still get a lot because it has a lot of utility. A GPU is like that. It's a lot of utility. It will drop in cost, but it's a dual purpose. You can go and do some gaming with it, or you can, use it for mining and stuff. So I've always been a very big advocate of GPUs for that main reason, man. That CapEx offset of risk is just, it makes too much sense on paper. It makes too much sense on all of in this ecosystem of space that you have that extra value of it. The same thing of like when mining went crazy again in 2017, and I mean, I had literal 7990s and 7870s, from that I used to mine Bitcoin with, that in some situations, if you sell them internationally, because people just can't get hardware, right? And they'll, hey, I want anything you got. And it's like, well, I have a 7870. I'm not going to screw you. But I mean, $100 for that, when I paid $229 for it brand new, and it mined Bitcoin at a half a Bitcoin every day, right? Literally in 2011, it's still worth $100, right? So like the ASICs from that time, I may be able to auction for like somebody that wants to just have it on a shelf, that's not going to be used, isn't worth anything. Even though I could probably get a pretty penny for the old Butterfly Labs. I have an old Butterfly Labs jalapeno. Some people might want that just for the funsies. I mean, it's not going to be worth anything when it comes to mining anything, but just to say, hey, my God, I got a Butterfly Labs jalapeno, or an Avalon A1, like one of the old school ASICs. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. We're going to go over to Twitch here in a bit. looking at any more questions you guys had. Hopefully that last ramble piece for the last like 20 minutes has been okay. It's a lot of stuff that you guys usually get from me on the Twitch streams, but all right. Well, if you don't follow, you should. So hit that follow, subscribe, likes, share, and yeah, we'll do some more. Yes, we're gonna do. We'll do the 590 BIOS hacking on Twitch. We'll copy it off. We'll peel it apart. We'll try to look at some straps. We'll start moving some straps around, reposting it back in there, and see if we can make some changes and stuff. So that'll be a Twitch stream, because that's any of that kind of iterative stuff that takes on and drags on. I like to do on Twitch, and then I can take the sweet spots and put them on YouTube. What's a good beginner build that you would suggest? I'd say go lean and start with just a couple cards and understand. Like, if you understand the space, understand the algorithms, get it working. And you know, I think I put together a kit on. It might be under the link under the description. That's like a base level 6-card rig, RX 480s, or to 580s, 570s. It's pretty cheap. The whole rig itself is under $1,000. You know, you could do GTX 1050 Ti's if you can find them used and cheap. You know, anywhere from like a low cost, a $600 to a less than $1,000 rig is a great start to understand the space. Don't go huge $4,000 or $5,000 to beginning with. Just don't do it. You're gonna hate yourself. Go with 2 or 3 470s and keep it cheap. Yep, that's exactly where it's at. 570s. So it's gonna be hard to find 470s and 480s unless they're used. But yeah, do the 570s are good. And again, like for the NVIDIA bros, I mean, there's a lot of good algorithms out there that can be used with NVIDIA. NVIDIA is going to give you less trouble, quite frankly, even though the software seems to be getting a lot better. I've seen as the software has matured, as the mining software has matured, AMD seems to be a little more consistent. NVIDIA and everybody in this channel right now that has mind will tell you in support that NVIDIA is going to be a lot less headache. It's just facts, bro. Facts are tough. NVIDIA is a lot easier. But your best bang for your buck is always going to be AMD, by and large, unless you get some crazy deal on an NVIDIA card. I'm Team Green. Team Green helps keep the gray away, bros. All right, man. I'm gonna wrap this one up. And if you guys don't follow me on Twitch, go out to Twitch and just look at BitsBeTrippin, and you'll see it out there. And then I'll do a full upload of. We'll peel some stuff apart. We got some configurations to do. I gotta get Ubik working on this. Awesome, bros. There's no rating on YouTube, so we'll catch you guys on Twitch, probably in a few hours. Peace.